What happens when corporate arrogance meets quiet wisdom? The answer will leave you speechless. This is the story of how one sentence from a waitress brought a billionaire to his knees and reminded an entire restaurant what humanity looks like. Drop a comment below letting us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more incredible stories of justice and redemption. Picture this: The Grove, Scottsdale's most exclusive dining establishment where wine bottles cost more than monthly rent checks. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across pristine white tablecloths, and the soft piano melodies usually mask the sound of power deals and whispered secrets. This wasn't just a restaurant, it was a sanctuary for the wealthy elite. But on this particular Thursday evening, that sanctuary was about to become a battlefield. The atmosphere shifted the moment Victor Langston stepped through those polished doors. At 6 feet 2 inches with a tailored suit that probably cost more than most people's cars, he didn't just enter, he commanded. His presence alone made conversations pause and servers straighten their postures. This wasn't just any customer, this was a tech mogul worth billions, the kind of man who could buy the restaurant with pocket change. The hostess practically trembled as she led him to the best table, her iPad shaking in her hands. "Good evening, Mr. Langston," she stammered, but Victor's cold stare made it clear he had no time for pleasantries. Behind him walked his wife Camille, elegant and poised, yet somehow invisible in her husband's overwhelming shadow. Their server that night was Danielle Brooks, a woman whose quiet strength seemed to radiate from within. With natural curls framed perfectly and eyes that held both warmth and steel, she approached their table with the kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. "Good evening, welcome to the Grove," she said with genuine warmth. "Can I start you with something to drink?" Victor didn't even glance up from his phone. "Sparkling water, no lemon." "Wine list," he muttered, his fingers already flying across the screen, consumed by emails that were clearly delivering bad news. While Danielle took their orders with professional grace, Victor's world was crumbling in real time. A major deal was falling apart, investors were pulling out, and his billion-dollar empire suddenly felt like it was built on quicksand. The pressure was turning him into a ticking time bomb, and everyone in that restaurant was about to witness the explosion. 25 minutes. That's how long Victor had been waiting for his meal, 25 minutes that felt like hours to a man accustomed to the world revolving around his schedule. His fingers drummed against the table like a countdown to disaster. When Danielle returned to check on them, Victor's patience had evaporated entirely. "Where's the food?" he demanded, his voice cutting through the restaurant's gentle ambience like a blade. "It's coming, sir." "Shouldn't be much longer," Danielle replied, maintaining her professional composure. "Shouldn't be?" That's reassuring. Victor's laugh was bitter, devoid of any humor. "Do you have any idea who I am?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Conversations at nearby tables began to fade as diners sensed the tension building. What happened next would be talked about for years to come. Victor's voice rose, carrying across the restaurant like a thunderclap. "I run a company that makes more in a day than this place does in a year. When I ask for a steak, I expect a steak, not excuses." The piano player missed a note. Glasses stopped halfway to lips. The entire restaurant held its breath as Victor's corporate arrogance spilled out like poison. But Danielle didn't flinch. She stood there, steady as a mountain, absorbing his verbal assault with a calm that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than mere professionalism. "People like you," Victor started, then caught himself, but the damage was done. The implication hung heavy in the air, and for the first time, a crack appeared in Danielle's composure, not anger, but something deeper. Hurt. Then resolve. "Sir, may I say something?" Danielle asked, her voice barely above a whisper but somehow commanding the attention of every person in that room. Victor leaned back with a smug smile, convinced he'd already won this battle. "Go ahead. Amuse me." What happened next defied every expectation. Danielle looked him straight in the eye and delivered 11 words that would shatter his world. I serve tables so people like you remember what it's like to be human. The sentence wasn't shouted. It wasn't aggressive. It was delivered with the quiet power of absolute truth, and it hit harder than any scream could have. The restaurant fell silent. Forks froze mid-air. Even the kitchen seemed to pause. Victor's smugness drained from his face like water from a broken dam, replaced by something he hadn't felt in years, genuine uncertainty. For the first time that night, words failed him. The man who commanded boardrooms and headlines sat speechless, stripped of his armor by a single sentence from a woman he dismissed as beneath his notice. His wife Camille finally spoke. "She's right, Victor. Look at what this pressure has turned you into." What followed was perhaps even more shocking than the confrontation itself. Victor Langston, the billionaire who never backed down, began to crumble, not from weakness, but from the weight of recognition. When Danielle returned with their food, he asked something that surprised everyone: "What's your name?" "Danielle," she replied simply. "Danielle," he repeated, as if trying to remember how to see people as human beings rather than transactions. But Victor's journey back to humanity was just beginning. In a moment that stunned the entire restaurant, he stood up and did something billionaires rarely do: he apologized. Publicly. Genuinely. "I was wrong," he said, his voice carrying across the restaurant. "What I said to you was disrespectful, and you didn't deserve that." This wasn't just an apology, it was a revelation. Victor had been reminded of something money couldn't buy: basic human decency. Danielle's simple wisdom had accomplished what years of therapy and business coaching couldn't. It had shown him that success without humanity is just expensive emptiness. As the evening ended, Victor left his untouched steak on the plate, but he walked away with something far more valuable: perspective. Sometimes the most powerful lessons come from the most unexpected teachers. This story reminds us that respect isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of human dignity. No matter how high we climb, we must never forget the ground we started on. What do you think? Should Victor have done more than just apologize? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that matter.